Imagine stepping out of your time machine ready for an adventure in the Paleozoic era. You're excited to see giant insects and strange landscapes, but there's a problem you didn't consider: the air itself. The Paleozoic era was a time of extreme oxygen levels, far higher than what we experience today. For humans accustomed to a delicate balance of gases, this ancient air would be toxic. Our lungs, evolved for today's atmosphere, would be overwhelmed by the abundance of oxygen. Imagine feeling a burning sensation with each breath, as if your lungs were slowly being scorched from the inside out. Prolonged exposure would lead to oxygen toxicity, causing dizziness, nausea, and eventually death. This oxygen-rich environment allowed for the evolution of giant insects, creatures we only see in horror movies. These insects thrived on the excess oxygen, growing to sizes that would make even the bravest soul shudder. So while the Paleozoic era might seem fascinating from a distance, remember that taking a single breath would be a fatal mistake. Beyond the dangers of oxygen, the Paleozoic era was incredibly humid. Picture the thick, heavy air of a tropical rainforest, but amplified. This wasn't just uncomfortable humidity, it was suffocating. The air, thick with moisture, would cling to your lungs, making each breath a laborious task. Imagine trying to breathe through a wet towel draped over your face. That's what it would feel like to inhale the heavy, moisture-laden air of the Paleozoic. The feeling of suffocation would be constant, a terrifying reminder of your body's struggle to adapt. The humidity would also contribute to rapid dehydration. Your body, in a desperate attempt to cool down, would sweat profusely, further depleting your vital fluids. And remember those giant insects? The humid environment would provide ideal breeding grounds, making encounters with these prehistoric behemoths even more likely. If the oxygen and humidity weren't enough to deter a time traveler, the atmospheric pressure of the Paleozoic era would certainly seal the deal. During this period, the Earth's atmosphere was significantly denser than it is today, creating a crushing weight that would press down on you with unrelenting force. Imagine the feeling of being submerged deep underwater, the immense weight of the water pressing in from all sides. This is a pale comparison to the crushing pressure you would experience in the Paleozoic. Your chest would tighten, making it nearly impossible to expand your lungs and draw in a breath. The increased pressure would also impact your blood. Nitrogen, normally dissolved in our bloodstream, would begin to form bubbles under the intense pressure. This condition, known as the bends, is excruciatingly painful and can be fatal. In the Paleozoic era, it would be an unavoidable consequence of simply existing. The Paleozoic era was a time of extremes, not just in terms of its atmosphere, but also its climate. Temperature swings were dramatic, with scorching hot days giving way to frigid nights. For a modern human accustomed to a relatively stable climate, these extreme temperature fluctuations would be unbearable. Imagine the sun beating down on you with an intensity you've never felt before, quickly followed by a bone-chilling cold that penetrates to your core. This constant shifting between extremes would take a toll on your body, leaving you vulnerable to heat stroke, hypothermia, and a host of other ailments. And let's not forget those giant insects, emboldened by the abundance of oxygen. They would thrive in this volatile climate, their large size making them resistant to rapid temperature changes. The Paleozoic era, a seemingly alien world, would be a death trap for any unprepared modern human.